welcome to my channel or welcome back. My name is Ashley, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a recap of 2025 and then looking forward to 2026 and talking about some things that I'm hoping to do more of and do less of in this new year. And if you're new here, or even if you're not, this is typically a horror, Halloween, history type of channel. That is the majority of content that I post. However, on YouTube, I sometimes struggle with topics to talk about, and I kind of just post whatever I want on here sometimes. So if you go through my videos, you might see some random things, although the majority of things are related to history or Halloween or horror. Let's go ahead and get into this 2025 recap. I thought I would start off 2026 on YouTube, talking a little bit about the past year and just some of the things that I did, not necessarily accomplishments or things like that, but just fun things and how I spent my year. Also, I apologize about the ring light reflecting in my glasses. I don't know if that's a thing that bothers people. It bothers me just seeing it in the reflection. But I have seen other creators on this app who film their videos with the reflection in their glasses, and I guess it doesn't really bother them. I'm gonna just kind of bring it back to, I guess, winter of 2025 when the new year technically starts, although that is debatable because a lot of people claim that the new year actually starts in the spring, which makes way more sense when life is sort of coming back again. Drinking my chai tea latte. It's so delicious. So, taking it back to, I guess, January, February, that gives me PTSD, to be honest, because I was having just a tumultuous time at my job. I work in a middle school. A lot of people who follow me know that from over on Instagram. I talk about it a little bit more over there. But I work in education. I'm a teacher in a middle school. I teach language arts. This year I'm the reading specialist, or one of them. And last year at my school, right around the new year, January, a pipe burst in our building, which is over 100 years old. I won't go into all of that, but basically the district just comes up with any excuse to not build a new building. So instead, the building just continues to crumble and problems like this arise. So a pipe burst in our school and literally flooded the hallways, flooded people's classrooms. The building was not suitable to be in. There were a whole ton of issues from it, like asbestos and mold in the air. It was like a whole thing. So basically, we had to relocate, and they put us in temporary locations. First, for a week, we were working in an extra gym in another middle school, fully on Zoom for an entire week. And it was the whole sixth grade team working out of one gym the whole day. So we were just sitting down all day staring at our computers on Zoom. Some teams kind of did it differently. Luckily, ours did, where we were just assigning asynchronous work, and we just kind of met with our kids to touch base every morning and then were available for them as the day went on. Other teams were Zooming and teaching the whole day like that, and I can't even imagine doing that because I was already going out of my mind. But so that was a week there. Then we were in a temporary school. Then the bathrooms there weren't working. We had to move again to another location. If you don't work in education, this may not sound that bad to you, but we didn't have any of our supplies, any of the things that we need to teach. We didn't have pencils, we didn't have paper, we didn't have our curriculum material. We had nothing, literally nothing. So it was definitely a struggle and a challenge and not a great time for anyone, the kids, the staff. It was just a hot mess. So that was how I kind of started the year. We eventually got back to our building, and it was just a very stressful time. I like let's move on from that topic. In the spring, I got a series of vampire facials. I find that to be exciting. That's the PRP procedure where they take your blood, draw your blood, then I don't know all the medical technical terms, but they put it in the machine where it like separates the platelets or the plasma. I'm probably saying all of this wrong. You can look it up, but then they microneedle your face with your own plasma. So it's basically like a resurfacing treatment for your skin. It helps to regenerate new skin cells faster, that kind of thing. So I did a series of those, a package of them. I've done it before and I really liked it. Then it was eventually summer. I didn't do too much in the spring. Summertime, I went on a couple trips. My mother and I went to Cape Cod. We also went and spent some time at the Jersey Shore. We spent a long weekend in Ocean Grove, New Jersey, which is a town right next to Asbury Park, New Jersey. It was a lot of fun. It was a really cute town. My mother loved it. Neither one of us had ever been there before. We've been to Asbury Park and other locations around the Jersey Shore area, but we had never been to Ocean Grove and picked that place because it was sort of a midway point between the two of us to meet in the middle. We stayed at a little bed and breakfast. We went to the beach every day. We went to Asbury Park and had dinner there each night. We went to the boardwalk, did all the beach things. It was very cute, very fun. My mom talks about it often because she really enjoyed the area. There were a ton of historic homes in the area, Victorian homes. I love historic homes, so it was really fun to just drive around and walk up and down the blocks and look at all the architecture and the different houses. The bed and breakfast that we stayed in also had a lot of pictures hanging on the walls of the original family who owned the home, and it was really cool to see everyone. There were photos of the families sitting on the front steps of the house in their Victorian attire with bicycles in front of them. So they were just riding their bikes on the boardwalk and the beach in their full Victorian gowns and like top hats. I love seeing that kind of stuff and just knowing the history of a place and the history of a home. So that was a fun part of that trip. Cape Cod we had done earlier in the summer. It was a little cold still for beach time in Cape Cod. We did go to the beach. We also spent some days that were a little cloudier, rainier maybe, going whale watching. We checked out a couple local towns. We were going to go to Martha's Vineyard, but we ended up not going. So maybe next time we'll do that. And it turns out that I don't know how I didn't know this in advance, and shame on me for not knowing it. But the weekend that we were there and we're going to go to Martha's Vineyard was actually the same weekend they were having the Jaws 50th anniversary on Martha's Vineyard. So I really should have been better at planning because that would have been a lot of fun to go to. And we were hoping to get to the vineyard anyway. But maybe next time because we didn't end up doing it. It was still a lot of fun. It was a great trip. We had never been whale watching before, and that was incredible, amazing, just beyond. If you've never been whale watching and you're a person who loves nature or loves animals, it's indescribable. Spent the rest of the summer just kind of relaxing off of work, going to the local pool, local lake, things like that. Kind of getting, content ready for the Halloween rush. Then September rolled around. It was time to go back to work, sadly. And then I spent a weekend, or a night rather, in Brooklyn visiting one of my old neighbors from when I used to live there. I stayed with her for a night. We went out for breakfast in the morning, kind of just hung out and caught up. And while I was there, she came with me to the Color Factory in Soho. I think it was in Soho. And that was very exciting because it was one of my first bigger brand deals. I don't really talk a lot about brand deals or partnerships or things like that, mostly because that's not really the goal of my content, to get partnerships and brand deals and things like that. But when they do happen, it's obviously very exciting and fun to do. So the Color Factory was my biggest brand deal to date, and that was very exciting. So I was able to bring someone with me. I brought my old neighbor. We went together. It's kind of like a family friendly, kid centered place. It's a color museum essentially. I did have a good time and I thought it was really fun. They had a lot of interactive rooms where you can smell colors and experiment with colors in different ways. They had one room with a giant ball pit and a slide. That was super fun. And then they gave you a complimentary ice cream, or for people who don't eat dairy, they had mochi. So I had that. It was so good. So yeah, that was very exciting and fun to do. Then October came along and I had another really fun and exciting opportunity. I had gotten an email from someone who did public relations or marketing or both for essentially a travel board down south. So I think they work with Charleston, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, possibly cities like that. And I was invited to go on a trip to Macon, Georgia, which I had never even heard of before, but it's a city with a lot of musical history. So I was invited for a long weekend there, 3 nights, and they put us up in a historical mansion, which was just a dream. One other content creator was also invited on the trip. If you know Dixie Witch Void, she was there as well with me. So her and her plus one had a room across the hall from me. That was super exciting for me because I love to travel. I love historical cities. I love haunted history, and this trip had all of that. They planned an itinerary for us. We got to check out a local cemetery, which was very interesting. We went to Hay House, which is a historical mansion. I've never seen anything like it in my life outside of maybe going to Europe and seeing their, beautiful castles, churches, mansions. I mean, it was incredible. I have some videos up on my TikTok and my Instagram. I think I have one here as well for Hay House, just giving, actually not Hay House. I have a tour of the bed and breakfast that we stayed in if anyone's interested in that. But the trip was super fun. It was absolutely amazing. They were incredible hosts. We had a great time. We did a paranormal history tour through the downtown area of the city. Like I said, checked out a cemetery, the Hay House, checked out some local restaurants. We were supposed to do a witch's float, which, if you're familiar, I know Sleepy Hollow does one every year. It's basically people paddleboarding on a river dressed as witches. We were supposed to do that. They had rented canoes for us, but it got rained out that day, so we did not end up doing that activity. They had a really fun itinerary. It was an awesome trip. I would definitely go back to Macon, Georgia now that I have been there once. And if you're ever near Atlanta, it's about maybe 45 minutes to an hour outside of Atlanta. You should definitely check it out. So that was my start to October. That was the very first weekend of October. Then I didn't do much for the rest of the month. I didn't go on any other trips or go to any other towns. I just kind of hung out at home and relaxed, really, which was nice. I usually sometimes take a trip to either Salem or New Hope, which is near me in Pennsylvania, Jim Thorpe. I did actually go to Sleepy Hollow one weekend. I left that out. That was the following weekend. I went to Sleepy Hollow and I went back home to see my parents and my brother and sister-in-law because they had just had their first child, our nephew Jaden. He is the cutest thing ever. He was born on September 29th, and so I would have gone the first weekend of October to see him, but I was in Macon, so I went the following weekend once I had gotten back. Did that, then Halloween came and went. I was a little sad about it this year because I don't really like just staying home and passing out candy on Halloween. It was okay like the first couple years. This was the third year that we did it, and I just felt kind of like meh. Like I don't know, that's just not how I want to spend my Halloween for the rest of my life, and that's not how I envision spending it. I don't know what else I would do. Maybe I just need to throw a Halloween party. I don't know. I feel like now that I live in Pennsylvania, I'm further from my friends back home. I have one friend who always throws a Halloween party every year. So there was just more to do when I was with my kind of like core group of friends. And now that I'm here, I obviously have a few friends here in the area, but I don't know. I just never have plans on Halloween, and I guess I need to make some. And I wouldn't mind passing out candy for a little bit and then going out somewhere, but it just felt really depressing this year where, we passed out the candy and then it was just kind of like, that's it. I don't know. Um, I guess that's Halloween for old people, but I don't I don't want to do that. I just don't want to do that. I don't know. It wasn't really a vibe. After Halloween came a little fall trip that I took with a few friends upstate. It was just outside of the Catskills, a little further north of the Catskills, New York, and it was actually bordering Massachusetts, so we were also close to the Berkshires. So we rented a lake house It had a hot tub, a fire pit outside, right on the lake. It had a pellet stove, which is just such a cozy thing to have in the winter. Or it was technically still fall, but it was cold out. So we relaxed, we made friendship bracelets, we used the hot tub. I only went in one night actually. I don't know why. I think like it felt so good in the hot tub, but it was also so cold out and I hate getting out of the hot tub and then you're just freezing. So once was enough for me. And then we took a little day trip and went to the Berkshires. We went to Edith Wharton's house. I forget the name of it. I think it's called The Mount. We went there and then we had dinner at this absolutely incredible Italian restaurant that I cannot even remember the name of. So that was a really fun little trip. My birthday was, I think, the day after we got back from that trip. My mom and I share the same birthday, and I used to always spend it with her when I lived at home and when I was in college. Usually I would sometimes go home for our birthday and we would go out to dinner and stuff. That's also kind of just like a sad thing about getting older and like moving away from home. I haven't spent my birthday with my mom, I think, since I turned 30. I lived in Seattle when I turned 30, and she actually flew out for our birthday weekend. And I took her to the Seattle Ballet, and we did a couple other things. But I think that next year I need to go back home for our birthday because I miss spending it with my mom, and it just feels like that is what should be happening since we share a birthday. It is 11/11, if anyone was wondering. So, a very special birthday for many reasons. I turned 39 in 2025, which accelerated the midlife crisis that I think I am having. I had a mid 20s crisis for sure. It was actually more of a late 20s crisis. I think I was like 26 or 27. But we'll just call it mid 20s because it started closer to my mid 20s. That was a horrible time. Um, you always come out of it on the other side, but I think I'm definitely having a midlife crisis currently, even though maybe people consider 50 to be more of midlife. I don't know. I'm just feeling it and it's rough. So, moving on from that, then we had Thanksgiving. We spent Thanksgiving with my husband's side of the family. Then Stranger Things was released, the final season. I think it was, what was it, Thanksgiving Eve? So we watched that, obviously before Thanksgiving. I was giddy, huge Stranger Things fan. My husband and I started watching it in 2017. We started watching it when season 2 had been released. It came up on our Netflix. We were like, this looks interesting. Let's check it out. So we obviously went back to season 1 and watched that first, and then season 2, and we were definitely hooked. We had been living in Seattle at that time, and when we moved back to New York, and we actually got the chance to go to the Stranger Things experience in Brooklyn. I went twice. I went once with my husband, and then I had gotten like a press pass kind of thing to go. So I had taken a friend with me to the second time. It was so much fun. And there's no filming or video recording or photos allowed inside the actual experience. So I don't know if anyone actually has ever seen what it was or looked like or what happened inside. I'm sure somewhere on the internet there's something, but it was incredible. Like, let me just take you through real quick. We'll have a quick little Stranger Things side note. You went in, and from the second that you walk in and get in line, it's like you are part of Hawkins and the experiment that's happening. So they're talking to you like you are a citizen, fully, like everyone's fully committed to their role from the moment that you walk in. You get in line, there's like you hear like sounds, lab type sounds, explosions, bangs, things like that happening on the other side from where you're standing. They finally let you in and you enter basically just like a room with a podium where you're listening to someone give you the rules and directions. Lights start flickering in the middle. You're still hearing all these sounds and crazy things. And then it's like explosions and more lights flickering. And the guy who's on the podium, he's like aware that something crazy is happening and something's going wrong. So then he just like yells at everyone and ushers you to get into the next room, and then you enter the rainbow room. And you're given, it's like a hands-on interactive experience. So you're given these puzzles to solve. You're supposed to solve them. You're on different teams. One team is like team A, team B, whatever it is. You get out of that room and into another room, and I forget, it's like still in the lab. You're in the Hawkins lab. You have to solve some puzzle, and someone had to physically get up and like solve a combination thing. So again, very interactive and hands-on. You keep going through these different rooms. Then you enter another lab room, and this was crazy because they had demogorgons attacking the room from the outside. Obviously it's all illusions and projections and that kind of thing, but there were things really like banging into the doors and the walls, and you see the shadow of the demogorgon outside. There was like a bloody scene with one that you have to walk past when they finally opened the doors and let us out of that room. Then the final room was this whole crazy like 3D space that you're looking at in front of you, and you see Max in the upside down and Elle. The craziest part was part of the 3D thing. There's a part in the, it's like a little mini performance, and there's projections of Max and the Demogorgons on the upside down, but then there's an actual actress who was playing 11 who was standing like in the same area that all the 3D stuff was in. And there's a part where the Demogorgons come out of the screen and jump over the audience, and it's like they're coming right into your face, and then Elle blast them or something. But it was so cool because they were right there, like it looks like they were right in front of you. I'm sure you've had one of these experiences before where something's like jumping out from a screen. It makes me think of Disney World in Epcot. They had, I don't know what kind of show, but something where everything was like jumping out of the stage at you. Super, super fun time. Then you get out of the actual interactive experience and you're in the mixtape, which is, there was like a bar, there was a Scoops Ahoy, Surfer Boy Pizza, the roller rink. It was a very, very fun experience. So back to my recap. Sorry for that little side note. And it was December. We went to a family wedding in Florida in December for my dad's side of the family. Just my father, my brother, and I went. My husband stayed back to watch our insane dogs, and my mom also stayed back to watch their dog. But this is pretty much the only family that's left on my father's side, so it was important that we went and saw them and celebrated with them. That was the first weekend of December. Came back. 2 weeks later, we had our family Christmas party for my husband's side, which are his brother and our sister-in-law host. Then on December 17th, a date I will never forget, I resigned from my job. That's right, the dilapidated, crumbling, dusty, musty, crusty school building that I have been working in for the last 3.5 years. I finally resigned from on December 17th. I accepted a new job. More on that in the next section. Then it was Christmas break. I kind of skipped right over Thanksgiving break. Obviously, that was in November. December break, we had 16 days off, 2 full weeks, and then 3 weekends throughout. I go back tomorrow as of filming this video, which is incredibly sad and horrible. But then I only have about a month and a half left at this school, and then I will be off to my new job. So yeah, working in education, depending on when Christmas falls, we sometimes get a 2 full weeks off. Sometimes it's a week and a half. In the past, sometimes it's only been 1 week, and that differs state to state and depending on, when school starts and ends for everyone. In New York, same thing. Sometimes we would get 2 weeks off, sometimes it would be just one. New York City, however, I am so glad I don't work there. I did work there for 1 year. They I think they only ever get a week off. They work until December 23rd, which is a crime. It's criminal. Criminal. Yeah. They never have any more days off before Christmas than Christmas Eve, which I totally forgot about until I texted a friend of mine back in New York because I was going to be home for part of the holiday. Wanted to see if she was around and wanted to grab a drink or coffee or dinner or something. And I mentioned the 23rd because I was going to be around and free that day. And she said I work that day. And I forgot that she teaches in the Bronx, where I used to teach also, which I know a lot of other careers and professions, it's normal to work up until the 23rd, I'm sure. But in education, that is not normal and does not seem normal to me. That sounds like my nightmare. So, anyway, I had a great break. I did a lot of nothing, visited family, saw a couple friends, really just stayed in the house and relaxed, read, hung out with my dogs, made this delicious chai tea latte that I recently got. Another quick side note on that. So, sorry for the side notes. It's like I should just have the bag here to show you, but it's downstairs. It's basically one of those chai tea latte powder mixes, okay? But it's like a superfood one. So there's the chai tea mix, there's that like mushroom stuff that substitutes for caffeine for some people. If you know what I'm talking about, it's like a mushroom, it's supposed to give you energy, give you a little boost. Then there's like some other superfood in it. So it's this superfood chai tea latte mix, and all you have to do is add hot water to the scoops, and then you blend it, and it gives you just the frothiest latte I've ever seen. I wish I had like a fresh one here, but I drank all of it already, but it's super frothy on top and foamy. It's so good. The way I came upon it was interesting because I got it by accident. So my niece, she's 14, she's gonna be 15 this summer, wanted a candle for Christmas from this very specific candle company called Candier. I think it's Candier. I was saying Candier, but I think it's Candier. If anyone knows, please let me know in the comments. But I ordered a candle for her and a bath bomb. I opened the box, and inside was the candle, the bath bomb, and this mysterious chai tea latte mix. So I was very confused upon opening it, but the tea is a brand that the owner of Candier also owns. So they send complimentary tea mixes and stuff with their items, just in case anybody enjoys them and wants to purchase them. And I absolutely love the tea mix that they sent, and I will be buying more of it. It's really, really delicious if you like chai. I said I read a lot. I just started reading Wuthering Heights, which I am so looking forward to the adaptation that's coming out in 2026, starring Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie. So I'm currently reading that. Was finishing up some shows, or trying to. I'm watching a ridiculous amount of shows right now for the first time, all simultaneously. So one day I'll put one on and the next day I'll put another on, which is probably why it's taking so long to get through any of them. But my husband and I are watching The Sopranos. It is his maybe 11th time watching the series and my first time. I am also trying to begrudgingly finish Gilmore Girls, which I am not really a fan of, but I'm kind of determined to finish it for some reason. I think I'm in season 3. I'm also watching The Vampire Diaries. I think I'm in season 2 now of that. And then I'm also rewatching Gossip Girl, which is kind of on the back burner just because I've already seen it. Got some little home projects done around the house, cleaning, decluttering, organizing, posted some clothes to sell on eBay, brought some stuff to the thrift store. Kind of going out of order here, I guess, but Christmas we spent with my side of the family. So we usually do Christmas at my parents' house in New York. We went there. Stranger Things came out on Christmas night, so we watched that with my mom because she also has been watching the show. Then we got back, New Year's Eve came, we had tickets to see the Stranger Things finale in theaters. Somehow, our local theater, the one that we go to all the time, which is 10 minutes from us, was showing the finale, which I was very surprised about, just because, I don't know, I just didn't assume that any theaters near us would be showing it. We were lucky enough to get tickets for that. It was a packed theater. It was a lot of fun to watch just with an audience and see everyone's live reactions. The scene where Steve almost died was definitely the best audience reaction. It was just a collective gasp and just worry. And then when they panned the camera to Jonathan, it was just cheering, yelling, clapping. That was really fun to experience. Let's get into the next section of this video. What am I looking forward to in 2026? What am I hoping to do more of and do less of? First and foremost, I am looking forward to my new job. So a little more on that. I have been desperately trying to escape my current job for at least 2 years, seriously. And nothing just ever panned out for whatever reason. But I think that is because timing is everything and the universe just knows what it's doing. And I kept saying that to myself and to my coworkers and my friends. The line I kept saying was that either no one wants me because I work in this district currently, like almost like I have a scarlet A on me, which is hilarious because my district's name starts with an A. So I was like, I either have a scarlet A and just no one will have me because I work here, or the universe is just waiting to give me something better. And it was definitely the latter because I accepted a job in a district where my former work bestie is currently working. So I don't assume, I don't know who on here out there follows me over on Instagram, but sometimes I talk about work over there, or I did so a lot more last school year, mostly on my Instagram stories, and sometimes only on my close friends' stories. Sometimes I may have mentioned my work bestie, Miss Harris. So she left me at the end of last year and she got a job closer to where she lives in New Jersey in another district. So I was obviously heartbroken. And that's actually part of the reason why I switched positions this year and went from sixth grade language arts to reading specialist, is because I panicked and I was like, I can't do sixth grade without Miss Harris. Like, she was on my team from the time that I started working in this district. So we've been working together for 3 years and I just couldn't do it without her. So now I accepted a job in not only the same district as her, but the same school. So we are going to be reunited. We're going to be working in the same building again. And I'm just beside myself. I mean, is that not the universe just saving something better for me? I'm so excited just to see her glorious face every day again. And obviously be in a better district that is more organized, where, things are just, I hope, going to be less stressful and less chaotic. So I'm really looking forward to that. I start that job in mid-February, right after President's Day weekend. So that is the thing I am currently most excited for. I will be switching to an 8th grade language arts position. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. I can't wait. Looking forward also to a possible summer trip with my mom. She wants to go to Maine this year. We've talked about it. We haven't really done any planning yet, so maybe that will happen. I'm not sure. We love a good beach vacation. Looking forward to creating more content this year here on YouTube, but also over on Instagram and TikTok. Looking forward to turning 40. I don't know. I am looking forward to it. I am blessed to have lived for this long. A lot of people don't get to, and a lot of people don't even make it to their 30th birthday. I know so many people that I went to high school with who are just not here anymore. I'm definitely grateful that I am here and still able to experience life and experience everything that it has to offer. So while I am having a midlife crisis, I am also excited to turn 40 next November, or this November. I'm excited to spend time with my friends and family, of course, to see my nephew more frequently, maybe possibly visiting Salem again. I'm not sure about that. I have taken a bit of a step back from visiting there, a little bit of an intentional hiatus for a multitude of reasons. I was thinking about making a video on that as well, just kind of like why I haven't been there in so long. which, like I said, there are several different reasons why. So that video may be forthcoming. Those are some things I'm looking forward to. What I am hoping to do less of in 2026, one thing is definitely spending less time on my pocket computer. That would be my phone. I think a lot of the internet, or at least the people who I follow, especially here on YouTube, it's becoming more and more prevalent to people that it is just so unhealthy the way that we are constantly on our phones and using them as though we cannot exist without them. I do not need to be on a computer all day long, and an iPhone or Android, any kind of current phone that just gives you access to everything, it is a computer. I can do the same exact thing on my laptop that I can do on my phone. And I hate that. I hate that I have this like literal computer in my pocket. Like, why? No, I don't want that. I don't need that. I don't want to do it anymore. So I have set app limits for myself for this year, just within my phone settings. That is the first step that I took to spend less time on my phone. I think I have collectively an hour to spend each day on all my different social media apps. That includes TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, maybe CapCut. I don't know what else I included in that social section, Pinterest. And really, I spend the most time on Instagram. And then second to that would be TikTok and YouTube. So I set app limits for myself, and it has helped me already in the sense that when I pick up my phone and I open one of these apps, I'm conscious and aware of the fact that I have very limited time on it. So I kind of need to like get on the app, do what I need to do really quick, and then get off of it. Otherwise, I'm going to run out of time. And what happens is usually I run out of time by mindlessly scrolling, doom scrolling. So it has helped me already. It's been only about a week since I set those app limits, and it has helped me in the sense of not doom scrolling. So I have been just opening the apps and only doing what I need to do quick or what I want to do, and then closing the app again. It's been a little challenging now that the Stranger Things finale came out because I really just want to sit there and scroll through all the fan reactions, theories, everyone's opinions on the finale. But I have not been doing that. So I am proud of myself for that. There is, of course, a loophole because once I run out of time on my app limit, it'll say you've run out of time for the day. And then you can say okay, or you can say ignore limit. When you hit ignore limit, which I've obviously done, it'll allow you to either have 1 more minute, 5 more minutes, or like remind me in 15 minutes. So I have been using that, unfortunately, but I'm working on it. And I noticed that really the only day that I used that a lot, give me 15 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 1 more minute, was a day where I was trying to schedule out content for the week and edit videos. So obviously the content creation clashes with the app limits. So I think moving forward, what I might do is I always schedule into my calendar days that I'm going to edit videos or film videos, whatever it is, schedule my posts for the week. So I think moving forward, what I will do is probably have maybe only 2 days a week that are set aside for content, whether it's filming or editing or just scheduling. And on those days, I will allow myself to ignore the limit for whatever set amount of time, or maybe even for the day. And then the rest of the week, really try to stick to just hitting okay when it says I've reached my limit. So we'll see how that goes. But I definitely want to limit my screen time altogether, but especially on my phone. The next thing I want to do less of is spending money on useless things, which I think I've been doing a pretty okay job of over the past year altogether. So just really continuing that, not buying anything new and not replacing items until I run out of them. I would also like to do less of worrying about things. I'm a very anxious person. I worry a lot about things I cannot control. I have like a nervous energy about me sometimes. and I hopefully can work on that and do less of the anxious worrying. Okay, what do I hope to do more of? I hope to do more reading. I love reading. I love, love, love reading. Love it. I've always been reading books. I don't even remember this, but my mom told me that when I was little, she would come into my room and I would be like under the covers with a flashlight reading my book. I don't remember that at all, but I still do that today. So that makes sense. So more reading, more watching shows I'm trying to finish. I'm not a big TV person, so that is a struggle for me. You would think with wanting less screen time overall, I would shy away from watching TV, but I actually don't watch a lot of TV unless it's a show that I really, really love. I will like watch it over and over again, like Stranger Things or Euphoria or Schitt's Creek. So it actually is something I have to put effort into to finish these shows that I'm trying to watch. I would also like to do more of saving money, which again, I think I'm fairly decent at. I've always kind of been a saver, but I also always kind of flip flop between saving money and just like spending frivolously. I feel like it's either one or the other, but I've been really good about it the last couple years. I am definitely not in the business anymore of using my credit card when I don't have the money to pay for something up front. So basically, putting something on a credit card that I can't already afford, I no longer do that. A good example is we had a fence installed this past September, and I wanted a fence as soon as we moved into this house. Obviously, did not have the money. We had just moved and put a huge down payment on our house. I feel like a few years back, I would have just thrown it on a credit card and said, we'll pay it off, figure it out later. I did not do that. I waited 3 years and saved up enough money for the fence, and then we just paid for it in full. That is what I like to do at this stage of my life. If I want something and it's a higher priced item, I will just wait and save for it and then just pay for it in full. I do not like going into debt. I don't like putting things on my credit card unless I have the money in my checking account to cover that expense. So just being strategic about the way I spend my money and the way that I save my money and the things that I'm buying. So continuing to do that into 2026. And lastly, to start to sum up this video, another thing I hope to do more of in 2026 is simply enjoying l'arte di fare niente, or il dolce far niente, which is in Italian the art of doing nothing or the sweetness of doing nothing. That's really my favorite thing to do in the winter, to be honest. I love just laying on the couch, lighting a candle, getting a cup of tea, this chai tea here, and putting one of those music nature backgrounds on, like a cozy library winter scene or whatever, and just reading on my couch and having absolute silence. Well, not silence because the music is on, but you know what I mean. Definitely more of that. Of course, just existing with my husband and my dogs and having adventures with them. Also doing more yoga and Pilates. I teach yoga part-time on the side outside of working in education, and I kind of took like a little bit of a break from teaching classes, but also from taking classes, because when I had moved from New York to Pennsylvania, which was 3 years ago now, I just couldn't really find a studio in my current area that I really loved. I tried a few different studios. Some were okay, but I think I just had expectations coming from the studio that I worked at and took classes at in New York, which was pretty specific. It was a hot power yoga studio, very specific way of teaching. The owner did a really job of kind of cultivating this climate and culture and way that the classes were run and all of that, which I was used to. That doesn't mean it's the best way, but I really enjoyed it and was kind of looking for something similar, and I did not find that here. I really still have not found that here, except in one studio, but it's a little too far for me. I did find a studio about 10 minutes from me that opened over the summer. They had relocated from another location. I started taking classes there and I really liked them, and then I started teaching there once a week. So I'm enjoying that for now. One of the perks of teaching there is that I get to take classes for free, which is super useful because yoga memberships can be expensive. So yeah, just recently this past summer, I started to more consistently take classes again in a studio setting because prior to that, I had been doing them from home just on YouTube, which is okay, but I do better when I'm in a physical studio and have someone directing me in front of me without any distractions around, like my dogs or my phone or anything else going on. So doing more yoga and Pilates in the new year, and that's about it. I intended for this video to be a little shorter, but I think it was a little bit longer than I expected. Please let me know what your hopes are for 2026, or not necessarily even hopes, but what do you want to do more of? What do you want to do less of? What kinds of things are you looking forward to? Would love to hear what you have coming in your 2026. Thank you so much for watching, and my next video is going to be on my analog bag, so do tune in for that. As always, thanks for being here. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe so you can see more content like this and also more spooky Halloween and horror related content. I hope you have a fantastic 2026, and I'll see you guys in the next video.